Should you become a real estate agent? The short answer is probably not, but that's not true for everybody. So what I've done in today's video is I've come up with the 9 main reasons that I see real estate agents fail, and we're going to find out if these are some character traits that you might have and that might deter you from becoming successful in real estate. Let's get into it. Number 1 on my list is if you lack self-motivation. If you lack self-motivation in this industry, you will probably not last very long. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. You need to be self-motivated. You don't have a boss. You don't have direction. You don't have things that you need to be doing every day that's written in stone of like, hey, come in here, log in at this time, do these things. This isn't a job. This is creating your own business from scratch. And there are tons of tools out there to help you with this. So if education is part of the problem, that's not what we're talking about. Right now, we're talking about self-motivation. Because when you don't have a boss and you don't have somebody telling you what to do, it's real easy to head out to the beach and sit out there for a few hours or, half a day, right? So it's very easy to lose sight of what you need to be doing every single day. So that's number 1. And number 2 is if you have weak networking skills. Now, luckily, this is one that you can get over very quick. So if you're an introvert, do not click away from this. This is okay. I am naturally very introverted myself, so I understand that. But it is a skill you're going to have to build on if you're not used to doing that already. I came from a military background myself, so I didn't need to do any networking. This was a learned skill that I had to put a lot of work into to learn how to build relationships. We have lots of different types of personalities in the world in general, but when it comes to real estate, you generally have task-oriented people and people-oriented people that are motivated by helping people or doing things with people, not necessarily helping, and people that enjoy doing tasks. So generally, we're a mix of a little bit of both. But in order to be successful in real estate, you're going to need to be able to network with other people. And this doesn't mean you need to be the life of the party, but it does mean that you need to be able to build relationships. And this could happen one-on-one. This could happen in small group settings. This could happen over the phone, online, by building a mass social media audience. There's a ton of ways to do this, but you are going to have to find a few that work. Number 3 is having ineffective communication skills. Another one very similar to the one we just talked about. It is a learned skill. You can learn this very easy, but it is going to make your time difficult if your communication skills are already a little bit lacking. So this is something that you want to get ahead, especially if you're early on, maybe you're just now taking your license or you're just thinking about it. These are the kind of things that you can kind of work on. I tell my agents and team members this all the time. We communicate for a living. That's what we do. We build relationships and communicate for a living. Everything else we do, all the showing houses and going through the negotiations and the process, that's only like 20 or 30% of the job. The rest happens by building relationships. And you do that by communicating effectively. And also you need to be able to communicate effectively while you're going through the process, because if you tell somebody one thing and they're not fully grasping it and you don't twist it to say it a different way so that they can grasp it, this could cause a really big problem down the road. And speaking of communication skills and building relationships and things like that, if you are considering becoming a real estate professional, you can go ahead and follow this channel. I do a ton of different free trainings on this. I don't sell you guys anything. I'm just on here trying to share my knowledge and increase the number of real estate agents that are able to stay in, because this real estate career changed my life. And I want to make sure that it's helping as many people change their lives as well. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button and ding that little bell so that you'll be notified every single time I do a new video. If you guys have any questions at all, or you want to reach out to me personally, all of my information will jump up on the screen here. You can call, text, email, send a DM on your favorite social media platform, however you want to get a hold of me. Now, number 4 is a big one. If you lack resiliency, it is going to hurt you in real estate. And all that means is you need to be able to bounce back. You need to be able to take the hits and keep on coming, however that looks. So in one aspect, it's going to be financial resiliency. This is going to be a real thing. The average real estate agent doesn't sell anything for 6 to 9 months. That's the average, right? There are people that are doing it quicker and doing it much longer. I've known people that have been licensed for 2 years trying to do this and haven't made anything work yet. It does happen, although that's kind of the rarity. So having that financial resiliency to be able to withstand not having a paycheck for a very long time can be a very important aspect of it. Now, I don't mean you need to go out and get a second job. I think that's a very big mistake that a lot of real estate agents make, because then they never jump, because you're never going to be quite, well, for most people, you're not going to be quite at that level to be able to jump full-time into real estate while you're working for somebody else. You just don't have enough time to make the career fruitful enough. And the industry also has a lot of ups and downs. We have market changes, local market changes, global or nationwide changes. I mean, when COVID kicked off, nothing happened. And in certain states, nothing happened for months and months and months and months and months. So the agents that were living paycheck to paycheck were getting hurt and having to get out and go get a job, a job, right? That's going to be part of it. You need to be able to withstand all of this, which also means you need to have the financial wherewithal to know that you need to save a portion of your money, but that's for a whole nother video. And on top of resiliency in those aspects, you also need to be resilient in your job itself. This is a job where you're going to get 30 to about 300 no's before you get one yes. And that one yes might not even buy or sell a property. They might think they want to, and you might go through the whole process. Heck, you might even go all the way through and do a whole month's of work just to find out that they can't, or they do something that eliminates them from being a borrower now if it's a buyer, right? So you are going to need to be able to handle the rejections and the criticism and the setbacks, because there's going to be a lot of them. And it's just the nature of the game. That's why we get paid so well, because of the uncertainty and because of the type of work that it is and the difficulty of the work. There's a reason why 87% of us fail in this industry in the first 2 years alone. 87%. That's insane, but you're building a business, and that comes with a lot of things, including, the need to be resilient. Number 5 on our list, another thing that I see all the time, is poor time management. Very similar to what I was saying earlier about being, self-disciplined or self-motivated. You also need to have good time management, because there's a lot of things going on. A lot of people think that we just wait for a phone call and then we go show a home, we negotiate it out, and then we sit back and wait for a check. But it's far from what actually happens. In fact, that little portion that most people think is our main job is really only about 20% of our job, believe it or not. In fact, about 40 to 50% of the job itself is just finding the next person that needs to buy or sell or invest in real estate. So that's where most of your work is spent. So this is why it surprises a lot of people when they get in and they're like, well, I'm not a marketer. How was I supposed to know all of this? How am I supposed to get my name out? How am I supposed to go from secret agent to popular agent or well-known agent, right? And there's a process that goes throughout that entire way. And so you need to have good time management skills to be able to do the prospecting at a certain type of the day. Prospecting meaning finding new business, and then actually working the business that you have, and then working in your business as an operator, and then working on your business as a CEO. You've got to do all of these things, and you've got to cram that all into the short amount of work period that you have. And if you're, sitting out at the beach all day or working a second job or not being super dedicated with your time, it's going to be very, very difficult for all of those things to fall in line and build a healthy, fruitful business. Now, number 6 on my list is, if you lack patience, you're probably not going to make it very long in real estate. This is a patient man's game. The average real estate closing takes 30 to 45 days, right? And in some states, even longer than that. And in rare instances, a little bit shorter. But those are generally cash deals, which are only about 20% of the market, depending on where you're living in the country. For certain areas, it's going to be higher, and certain price points and things like that. But the point is, the sales cycle is long, and that's just from contract to close. And remember earlier, I said about 40% of your job happens before you ever even get a client. Well, that portion takes a long time too. I mean, depending on where you are getting your leads, whether it's your sphere of influence, people that know, like, and trust you already, which, by the way, is where I think everybody should start, but that's a whole other story. Maybe you move to a new area and you don't have that option. Let's say you're buying leads. Well, the life cycle of a Facebook lead, which is the cheapest one, which is an option that a lot of people like to go with when they're new because they're cheap, is about 2 years, 1.5 to 2 years, depending on when you're watching this. It has kind of shifted cycle a little bit because you're forcing ads in front of them. Whereas you go with something like realtorzillow.com and it's a much shorter time cycle, but it's a heck of a lot more expensive. So you've got to play that game. And this is just when you're buying leads. I don't suggest that you need to buy leads or anything like that. I'm just using those as an example. But the point is, you need the patience to be able to take somebody who filled out their information online or that you met at the grocery store and wait until they're nurtured and nurture them the whole time, because you've got to stay following up with them, because the average lead knows 7 real estate agents. So you need to make sure you're in front of them more than those other 6. And then you've got to put them into a house that they like and then negotiate it out, and then a 30 to 45 day cycle. So it is not uncommon for it to take quite a while for that. So patience is key. And number 7, if you are not able to handle a little bit of pressure, this is probably not the career for you. It is high pressure. And it is not the most high pressure. I've heard, it's one of the most top 10 most stressful jobs on the planet or in the country. I've heard that. I don't know how much I believe it. I mean, come on, you're comparing it with all these other highly stressful jobs. And you're bearing the responsibility of a lot of pressure from your clients and from your buyers and sellers, the other party. A lot of people are counting on you to make sure that you're doing your job right. And if for some reason you're not and the deal falls through because of you, that's going to create even more pressure. You need to be able to withstand that pressure so that you can withstand this career in the long run. Then to jump on top of that, you've got negotiations that cause a little bit of pressure. You have deadlines you've got to meet. You've got financial pressures going on. You might have financial pressures going on in your own life, just waiting for this paycheck to close. And then you've got to make the big decisions or help your client make the really big, super stressful decisions that you don't have the answer to all the time. Should I continue with this property or should I go ahead and back out now? Well, the risk here is this and the risk here is this, and we need to walk them through that education line to give them the education and information that's in our heads into theirs, and they might make the wrong decision or we might lead them into the wrong decision, and that is going to create even more pressure as well. And number 8 on my list is if you are resistant to learning and adapting and changing, definitely not the industry for you. This is a big one, a big one for me. I see a lot of real estate agents that do not learn anything extra. They don't add anything new into their business. They get to the 5-year mark and they've made it and they just stay there. And you watch them sell the same number of homes over and over and over. And that's perfectly fine if that's what they're looking to do. But here's what I hear all the time is, well, I just don't know how to get to the next level. I just don't know what I need to do here, just here and here and here. And I go, well, cool. How much are you learning? How many conferences are you going to? How many classes are you taking? How much YouTube are you watching of people like me just giving away the information? We're not even selling this stuff. And take that to the next level. How many of you would be willing to go out and pay for a class not knowing if you're going to spend $2,000 for a product that might not work? And then you've still got to execute on that product and everything that they taught you to do. And then, well, whose fault is it if it doesn't work? Is it yours or was the teaching bad? And then, well, that was lost money there. So there's a lot of different things that go on in this. And so constantly learning, constantly changing, constantly adapting is very important. And that's just on one aspect of it. When I'm talking about changing and adapting, I also mean the market. The market's going to change, the tactics change. The same strategies that worked a long time ago don't work anymore. I remember when I first got in, one of the big strategies was to post on Craigslist like 30 times per day. Find any listing you can and just post it on there and be super vague and people call you left and right. And that was a very inexpensive way to get leads. That doesn't work as well anymore. It probably would still work on some level, but it wouldn't work at the same level that it did back then. And SEO was a big thing, search engine optimization, building a website that attracts people and that gets ranked on Google very high, and Bing, of course, any of the other search engines. But now so many people have done it, the game's a lot harder to do. These are all things that you're going to need to adapt on. So don't put all your eggs in one basket. Continually learn and continually change and continually adapt so that you don't get washed out of the market every time there's a small shift. And number 9, probably the one that kills the most long-term agents, like the ones that are in it for years, 3 years, sometimes a decade, and then they just randomly get out and everybody's like, what happened? You were a very successful real estate agent. If you don't have passion for the real estate career itself, not looking at houses, it's the biggest thing that I hear when somebody calls me and they're thinking about joining my real estate team here because we do help with every single one of these and get people started a little bit faster. So it's enticing to some folks. I notice that a lot of times they don't have a passion for real estate in general. They call me and they go, well, I just really love looking at houses and I like people. Those are the 2 most common things I hear when recruiting somebody or talking to somebody that wants to get into real estate. I love looking at houses and I like people. I promise you'll hate both within a year of doing this job. So what else is you probably won't hate it. That's a little extreme, but what else will help you stay motivated, stay in tune, and stay on top of your game and doing all the other things that I mentioned in this list to make sure you don't fall victim and get out of the industry because of something that wasn't there. And passion is the thing that's going to keep you in there. If you're not passionate about it, you're going to falter. When your buddies are out at the golf course at 1 p.m. on a Monday, you're going to pick up and go. When somebody calls you and says, hey, let's skip work on Wednesday and go to the beach or have a 3-martini lunch randomly on a Thursday, you're more likely to go. But when you have passion for it, that's all you want to do. I'll have 1 martini, but I need to get back, or no martinis, whatever. Point is, passion is very important. Now, speaking of passion, I'm very passionate about this YouTube channel in general. So please, if you wouldn't mind helping me out, if you haven't subscribed already, if you found this useful, go ahead and do that. And if you made it this far, you got some sort of value. So hit that like button for me and help me spread my word a little bit to other people. I'm trying to help other people out and basically make sure people don't get out of the industry when they don't need to. There's a lot of gatekeepers out there. There's a lot of people selling these huge products and everything. And I could probably get away with doing that, but I just don't want to at this time. I may do something like that down the road, but right now I'm just throwing it all out there for you guys for free. So all I'm asking is you hit that like button and help me out a little bit, and consider subscribing. If you have any other questions, all my information will jump up on the screen. You can book an appointment with me, or you can DM me on any of my social media, and I will answer as soon as I can. Please keep in mind, I'm a full-time real estate agent. I also run a team and multiple 5 or 6 other businesses at this point. So it might not be immediate, but I will get to you as quickly as I can. And I appreciate you watching, I guess. See you later.